Which right back, Charlie?
People deluded, I'm back again.
Come on, Ian, bro. Come on. People deluded, I'm back again. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and of course, in some cases, good night. Big up to you lot on whatever platform you're tuning in from. Big up you lot on Twitch, on YouTube, and on Twitter. Don't forget to join the discussion. I'm sure you can see the title. Now, Arsenal fans, we can't, draw any conclusions because we still have not heard about medical surrounding Mikel Merino, fees agreed, and most importantly, him wearing obviously the new season shirt, but the Arsenal shirt. We all can be frustrated because again, the season is starting in a couple of days, and I think most logical Arsenal fans were kind of calm in the sense of, we'll reserve the right to criticize the club day in, day out, but until the window's closed, nothing can be decided. But at the same time, you shouldn't look at other clubs, but other clubs are making moves. We've got Calafiori through the door. We started off initially getting some players out where Kiwior, Nketiah, Nelson, players of that ilk, it seems like there's a standstill, which could tell you there's things going on because last time I checked, maybe you lot have it. I haven't got Edu or Mikel Arteta's number. Maybe there's certain things happening in that regard. So, yeah, man, apparently David Ornstein and Romano and all of these guys have offered an update where Mikel Merino's concerned. They're still talking, well, not they, but the media is still linking Arsenal with Osimhen as well as Ivan Toney. And to be honest with you, that's about it. But we'll get into that in a second. If you've got any comments, join the discussion. You lot would have seen a video come out from myself where I thanked you lot for you lot support, man, across all platforms. But YouTube, you lot have been here from the jump. So, yeah, big up you lot in whatever country you're from, wherever you lot have tuned in. Your support means the world, man. We're trying to get to 70K. We've got like 61.3. So we're moving mad. That's surely that fills up the Emirates. How much? What's the capacity of the Emirates? Let me type that in. Emirates Stadium. I'm going so left with this live stream capacity. Let's see that quickly, people. 60,000. So, yeah, some of you wouldn't even get in. So, we're getting motion, people. Big up American Gunner, a.k.a. American Gooner, dependent on the platform, man. Appreciate your support. Makoko to Marseille is off. Could they return for Nketiah? I guess so, but they got Wahi. So, maybe they still want another striker, but they've got Wahi. I'm not going to say the ex-Manchester United man's name because we don't condone what he did, but we all saw he made a move. So they've got two attackers. They could spin the block for Nketiah. I hope they do because with the greatest of respect to Eddie Nketiah, I personally think some fans are overly harsh to Eddie Nketiah. Do I think Eddie Nketiah is good enough to lead the line for this football club? 100% I don't. As we're getting better and we're starting to try and be in conversations of winning Premier Leagues and I hope one day Champions Leagues, unless we wake up and he plays like, the legend that wore the same number as him, no, I don't. But he's a Hayland boy. I think Eddie Nketiah's mentality is spot on. I don't think a single player, whether I rate them, you rate them, goes out there to not give their best. I think people are harsh. I clearly think, like a lot of you, it's best for all parties. We need the money. We need people that can improve our football club. Eddie Nketiah needs to go somewhere where you're going to play regular football. And crucially, where his transfer fee is concerned, maybe that gives us an extra bit of funds to play around with. Do I think we're getting a striker? Probably not. I would love Gyökeres, but I don't think Arsenal are 100% convinced on him. And I don't think we'll sign a striker until we get some outgoings. We get a central midfielder in to follow Calafiori, potentially a versatile attacker and inside forward, and then you might get a striker. The best of both worlds for me is a winger and a striker because I don't believe in our attacking options under the guise of delivering when it truly matters. And that is a bit harsh because I think collectively we've got some great options. The only attacker that would shock me if he does not get double figures next season for goals and assists is Bukayo Saka. Why? Because his CV is certified. You've seen what he's done. Trossard is a great player, but I don't 100% know if you're going to do that. Kai Havertz, you're the number one striker for me, but you did it for half a year. I'm not being harsh. I'm just being honest, really. So it wouldn't shock me if your form continues. Likewise, it wouldn't shock me if your tally doesn't look the same in that regard. Martinelli, I love the guy. There's too much volatility in his performances, and defense wins titles. I personally think we've got some great defensive options with Timber, White, Such as it, I'll forget a name, you know. But if I do it off the top of my head, Tomiyasu, Timber, White, Calafiori, Saliba, Gabriel, Timber, if I haven't said him. Zinchenko is still here, whether you like him or not. He is a decent player. Is he good enough? Is he someone to see on a regular basis? 100% we don't. On paper, Aaron Ramsdale as well as David Raya are here. In midfield, I feel this is where the problems start to begin. I love the midfield options, you know, specifically Martin Odegaard and Declan Rice. I think they need a partner. I think in an ideal world, you get Mikel Merino in within the next 12 months, you get a central midfielder that raises the ceiling versus the floor. You have Mikel Merino, this new guy, whoever that would be, wherever that guy is, Declan Rice, and we keep it moving. You know, I love Jorginho. I've said it before. I personally think Arsenal had to utilize him a lot more last season than we wanted to, owing to the injuries. Kai Havertz can play there. And I hope we talk about Kai Havertz one day in midfield in the same manner we do up front. I do think people overdo it with Kai Havertz not being able to play in midfield. I think we can get away with it game by game, but it's not a long-term solution. I like Fabio Vieira. He has to stand up to be counted this season. Nothing convinces. Partey, a quality player, we rarely see him. There's issues there. And I've just alluded to up front. And considering, you know, for me, I talk about this project, I talk about the system, I praise the club. Don't get it twisted. I maintain everything I said. I think, you know, we've done well. But I think there's too many unanswered questions if we're focusing on winning a league title. I think we can get X amount of clean sheets. I think the whole team has a great emphasis on defending, summed up by our defenders. Midfield, you get a couple of injuries, we're in issues. And I hate to be that guy. Declan Rice is ever present. But when he came off in the North London derby at the Emirates, what happened? Now, we should have killed the game in the first half. Like actually with Aston Villa, Aston Villa this year, actually, we don't have cold-hearted killers that kill games, really and truly. In the North London derby, was too open. Declan Rice came off. Jorginho, when it's a chess match, he's good. When it's one of them typical Premier League games, he's in problems. I think we engineer our own problems, if I'm honest with you, man. So I know they can't fix everything. I know it's a process, but it does feel like we ultimately shoot ourselves in the foot. I do think we overrate, including myself, the need for a striker. I think we overrate it. But I don't think it can be overstated purely because we got 91 goals. In the last 2 years, we've gone from a team that gets 80-odd to 90-odd. And I'm not criticizing the team. A lot of that has come from set pieces, which I'm not criticizing. Long may it continue, really. As if you've got multiple ways to get goals, that's great. Teams next season, whether they can stop us is another thing. Naturally, teams next season are going to put a bit more emphasis on stopping Benjamin White shenanigans with goalies and making sure they're switched on defensively from set pieces. You know, when you break down the amount of goals we got from set pieces, there's the select few individuals that got a healthy goal return when these goals actually came, because a large amount of our goals were when we was battering sides. We need either an inside forward or a striker or both. We need another injection up there. Or I think you never know, because the last 2 years, we still could have done something where the league's concerned regardless, but it feels like it will ultimately be a mountain too high to climb. Moreno is not enough. We need Moreno, an attacking player. We've given Sociedad more leverage by dragging this deal too long with the season starting in 2 days. You say that, but I agree on one hand, but then I disagree, because Arsenal have to have other targets. Whether they're able to sign them is another thing. Two, the longer this drags on, the worse it is for Sociedad, because end of the day, 6 months from now, he can agree a free transfer for next season. He's got a year left on his deal. Obviously, that could help them to persuade him to stay. And you would imagine Moreno, again, has been linked with a number of clubs. It seems like, based on reports, Mikel Arteta has been the one to kind of sweet talk him, give him Arsenal's word that will go for him. And it seems like he's going to sign for us. So they're shooting themselves in the foot. Of course, especially considering, as you said, a couple of days the season is starting. The last 2 years, we got players in early. It's not been that really. And I don't think Moreno in isolation is enough, man. Waiting for the Raheem Sterling and Mudryk links. It's coming. It's coming. And Ivan Toney once again. Moreno says there's still discussion still going on the Moreno deal. Cam, where you been? Big up you, man. You've been missing, man. If we were struggling to wrap up the Calafiori deal within 2 weeks, I've got no belief in Osimhen. I agree and disagree, because I do think the Calafiori deal, I think us fans were probably doing too much, because when he came back from his holidays, it progressed quite quickly. So we'll have to see, man. But yeah, we're definitely going to get linked with Mudryk. We're definitely going to get linked with Raheem Sterling. We're going to get linked with those, because Mikel Arteta has shown from different reasons, you grabbed, Odegaard and Kai Havertz in particular. They, Odegaard, you weren't making it at Madrid. Havertz, you weren't held in high regard at Chelsea. It seems like now people are falling into that trap of assuming Mikel Arteta can turn water into wine, which he's shown he's a great manager, but he's not going to save everyone. There's been players that he hasn't saved at this club. I'm not criticizing him, and it's very different, but we couldn't get a tune out of Tavares or Lokonga. Forgive me, Kiwior as well. That's just my hot take. And there's so many, man. Big up yourself, Chris. Keep joining the discussion. Moreno has 1 year left on his deal, and Real need to sell now or risk a free. Really have no option unless he agrees a new deal. You never know, man. I'd like Arsenal to sign more players, but I also want some Hay lenders to have more game time thoughts. It's the age-old one. And when you break it down, when are they really and truly? Because I do think with the Hay lenders, we need to slow cook, but we want to go for titles. And to be honest with you, out the Hay lenders, if you're not Miles Lewis-Skelly or Ethan, are you really ready? I would have loved to have kept Koza Jubri, especially if Nelson's going to move on. Just keep him in around the side. I'm not sure, man. And surely there's some attacking options that arrive. Would have loved for Charlie Patino to have a fair crack at it. It's probably unrealistic. You'd imagine he follows Brook Norton-Cuffy out the door. So we have to see. Big up yourself, S. Another one who's been missing. Shocking transfer business with 3 days to the first game. We're just not serious about going to another level. F off with it already. I just hope the club can prove us wrong. Once Eddie is sold, we'll land a big boom striker. I hope, man. I hope you're Mikel Arteta or Eddie's burner account. I hope so. I'm pessimistic on a striker. I'm just accepting of you get a central midfielder, maybe a versatile winger. I'm not saying it's, pardon me, I'm not saying I'm ungrateful. I'm not saying that's enough, but I'll take it from there. Pardon me, anything else will be a surprise, if I'm honest. In fact, to be fair, a midfielder at this rate would be a surprise, man. I'd like Isaac, but outgoings. Isaac, you're going to have to do what we did with Declan Rice. You're going to have to overpay. You're going to have to put the big bag down. Will Arsenal do that? I'm not sure, man. I don't think the club will go for an attacking player this window, in which it's not the end of the world to me if they don't sign another attacker, because I believe in our options. But then I think it is, because I think genuinely with Kai Havertz, Martinelli, Trossard, Havertz, we're only going to get to a certain point, really, before we have the same discussions that we're having now. So it would be shooting ourselves in the foot, man. Big up yourselves. Bro, imagine if our signings are just Califuria and Moreno. Then we're hoping on a lot, man. Arteta and Eddie might just be all talk. I can't lie. I'll give them until the end of the window, essentially. Something is brewing. We are being extremely careful with money. In my opinion, it's because we have a bigger deal ready to trigger. I hope, Jay, I hope you're right, man. Bless up yourself, DG. I saw your video earlier where you acknowledge your supporters. That was class, bro. The DG Nation will always be here to support you. Keep up the amazing work, real one. Marcel, I know you're a Liverpool man, but to say it is true, you never walk alone. Appreciate that. Rabiot is still out there and available, but you don't want to be desperate. You don't want to be desperate. You don't want to be desperate. You like Moreno. I mean, Rabiot he's not a bad player, but is that the answer to our midfield woes? I think even if I'm not saying you're saying that, but even if you grab Rabiot, people are going to say, oh, he's not good enough. He's this, that, and the third. And we all know about he's going to be on big wages. Fermin Lopez would be good, but he's at Barca, man. We're really dragging the Moreno deal like it's a 100 million deal. I hear that, but at the same time, we don't know all the variables. We don't know what's happening. So maybe if we did, which we don't, so we can only say what we think, there's some variables. I personally think it's the calm before the storm. Ultimately, I want the midfielder in. If we don't get him, then it begs the question, who's the next target? And I know it didn't work with Eddie Nketiah, but I kind of rate it. At the end of the day, he's got a year left. He's a good player. Don't get held to ransom. Naturally, if you're Sociedad, you want to get paid as much as you can. Logically, if you're Arsenal, you want to pay the least. The only thing that frustrates me is beyond what I've said. I'm sounding like a hypocrite. That is taking so long. That we're playing Wolves, and that I feel there's a lot of unanswered questions. Like this, you lot are saying a lot of talking points that. Spoiler alert, I actually went to the Emirates today, people, and I thought, let me just record a video on my thoughts for the new season, which I need to edit and whatnot for no reason, really and truly out there. And that's a good point, really, because, again, I feel there's a lot of unanswered questions. As we've said in midfield, as we said up front, where you look at some of the injury concerns around certain players. So it's the same old, really. But, yeah, it is annoying, man. Bring up yourself, Cam, man. Don't apologize, man. YouTube vids are always here. What is really holding Arsenal for not signing players this transfer window? I'm tired with all the rumours. I wish I had the answers, man. I don't, but I'm here with you lot to one day hope we find out the answers. We need an out-and-out gunman up top. Without it, the cycle will continue. I think Salah, the kid, was cold. He's a good player. I just don't think he'll make the grade here, man. I hope to be wrong. I want the impossible dream of having 11, Hay lenders, but it's unrealistic. What we still talking about, Moreno? We've been signing this guy for 2 months. I just moved on from the transfer. We take too long. We take long for everything, even our old photo shoots. Doc, appreciate you for becoming a member. People as well, head to my YouTube community tab because I'm trying to get a QA show out for you lot before the season starts. So I can't answer the questions if you don't ask them. So yeah, man. Salah kid reminds me of Aouar. Don't say that, because where is Aouar now? Like, what has Aouar did with his career since we signed Partey? If you know, you know. Think it would feel much worse not getting a forward if City can sign a new attacking player. I hear that. Moreno would be great. We don't need a striker though. We just need a left-footed winger. That should be our priority. I disagree slightly. I don't think it's the end of the world if we don't sign a striker. Like if we could kind of copy Liverpool, where you had Mohamed Salah on one side, Mane on the other. Firmino could obviously score goals, but he wasn't a consistently, double figures kind of man. We could get away with that. If you've got Saka, and next one on the left-hand side, Havertz and all the other options, that's cool. But I would like that, man. I would like a forward. What I don't think we can afford to do is walk in. Well, the window can't close without another attacker. And surely, Nelson and Eddie technically haven't left. Apparently, Eddie Nketiah has been left out of the photo shoot. So that might say something. Their bodies. And I don't know if I believe in the point I'm about to make, because if Arteta said we've got one of the smallest squads, right, which is true, and you've let Smith Rowe go, Smith Rowe and Arsenal are no more. It's in the past now. Eddie Nketiah is linked with a move away, and it seemed like he was a couple of details away from signing for Marseille, and he's been linked with Bournemouth. Nelson seems like it's gone quiet. But if them three leave, surely you bring in attackers because we're weaker. But then I question my logic and I say, did the club even feel that way? Because how many minutes did them lot play individually? And that's before we talk about combined. How many did they play in the Premier League? How many starts did they get? How many 90-minute games did they get? Eddie probably played the most of all three of them. This is my theory on why Zubimendi didn't go Liverpool. Sociedad selling two main midfielders can be detrimental. Of course it can. But it seems like Zubimendi isn't... It just seems... I'll get cancelled if I say what I want to say. But he's just... We've seen this story. Bayern Munich, Arsenal, Man United, Liverpool now. There's definitely Barcelona. They've tried to get him. It seems like he's on talking. Then he runs back to his ex-girlfriend in Sociedad, really and truly. It would be detrimental if they lost all three. And they've technically lost... If we just move away from... assume that happened and talk about players. They've lost a defender to Atletico, the Spanish guy. I can't remember his name, but he's won the Euros, man. Lenormand or something like that. Swear, why is he only going to get better? Why not give him a few caps in the FA Cup or whatever and get more money later than sell him for peanuts now? Who are we referring to in that comment? Evening Fury. This transfer window has been rough, not just for us. I don't mind us playing hardball, but what scared me is the lack of players we're linked with. I mean, it scares me because I must admit, big up you lot that support the channel and whatnot. It's getting a bit boring having the same names in the title and whatnot. But being linked, we've been linked, man. We've been linked with Kimmich, Sane, all these guys. I just want to sign guys at this moment in time, man. This window is big for us. We need to act now. This ish pisses me off. Free forward now. I hear it. Arsenal are protecting the balance sheet by making a sell to enable Moreno. Arsenal are believed to be well within PSR rules. They're just playing clever. Big up them for playing clever. Big up them for operating well. I hear it, but I disagree a bit because I don't know anything. But when we was initially linked with Mikel Merino and we were told it's going to be done, this, that, and the other, they were saying, oh, yo, once Smith Rowe goes through that very thing you're saying, Moreno comes through the doors, so I'm not sure. And it seems like the links have gone cold. Eddie, we don't know. He's linked with Bournemouth, but a move has gone cold. Nelson, nothing really and truly. Zinchenko, 2 years left on the deal. Don't look like he's moving on. Kiwior is tentatively linked with Italian clubs, but it's gone very quiet since he was initially linked with them. So I hear that. I hate to refer to my football club and football in general as a business, but it's a business. I hear it. You've got to have, you've got to do better in outgoings. You've got to be prudent. But at the end of the day, it feels like we're at that line now where I won't say we've exhausted everything that's at the club because a lot of these players can get better, but it's about science. It's not just about signing. We need to improve and do what we're doing with existing options, but we need to bring in some players to get to that next level. I don't want to be that guy of doom and gloom. I'm not saying we're going to have an underwhelming season, but in the last 2 years, it's been an upward trajectory, really and truly. How in life, you don't just go up and up. Surely you take roadblocks and you can kind of go down. We're kind of at that kind of road, if that makes sense, man. But for real, position for position, who is better than us this season? I rate we've got this. In terms of depth, we're all right. I mean, Chelsea quantity over quality, but yeah. What do we do with Havertz? I mean, he's the number one striker right now. If something happens, Arteta hasn't shown that he's scared to play him centre midfield. That's about it, really. Hit the like, or we end up signing Mudryk after Moreno. That's one way of getting it done. Pick up yourself for that. No, there's media pictures of Eddie or Cap. Fair enough. There you have it there. We're going to try to be clever and pull one of those Kiwior Lokonga type deals, and it won't work once again. But Salahudeen needs to get a new contract before I invest stocks in him. I don't understand why his contract's running out. Neither do I. Doué still available. That player That is a player you invest in now, even if it costs 35 to 40. It seems like he's going Paris Saint-Germain though, man. So we can forget about that. He loves the San Sebastian seafood. I can't blame Zubimendi if he wants to be a one-man club, if he doesn't want to leave Sociedad, because it doesn't seem like player loyalty is anything in today's day and age. And it does seem like them Basque kind of clubs, them players there have a bit more affiliation than just normal players, if that makes sense. Like, I even think that, I don't think it played much of a part with Nico Williams staying at Athletic versus Zubimendi, but I do think it says stuff. Zubimendi doesn't want to leave Sociedad. He doesn't. If he wanted to leave, you would have probably been at Liverpool today, or you would have probably been playing for Man United, for Arsenal, or Barcelona, or Arsenal. I'd say Arsenal and Barcelona in particular, because it's a release clause there. It's a bit like the Sesko thing. For all the links, no club placed a bid because clearly they weren't enticed enough by him saying, I want to sign for the football club. So I'll have to see. We need to learn to sell like Chelsea and Brighton. That's a weak point of our stuff. I hear it. I agree. I think Zubi is going to Barcelona with Nico. Barca want all the young stars of the Spanish national team. I mean, that's one way to try and get closer to, but Madrid, they're going to need a lot more than that. Diaz and Doué for me, but Doué is at PSG, sadly. How's it going, DG? I'm chilled to the end of the window, but as it is, it's 2 out. It's 2 out of 10 for me. We need to move 4 players out and 3 in 17 days. How do you think it will go? I'm not saying necessarily for Arsenal, but you'd think there'd be a bit more aggression with incomings and outgoings in the football market in general. I do think, while we ain't got long to go, I do think there's an element of some players that were available, dynamics might shift, and players that weren't available, dynamics might shift in that regards. But I guess I'm at that point now where the agents don't really mean anything. But if I was Kiwior's agent, or if I'm Nelson or Nketiah, surely the client being the player, is putting pressure on you to sort out their future, and indirectly you need to go to Edu and the decision makers and say, yo, let's cut. But how far does that go if there's not a market for our players? Because Eddie might not be anything to scream and shout about. If he was at Liverpool, probably Chelsea or City, they probably would have sold him and got decent money. So it goes back to what someone said. We defo could get better at selling. DG Talksport presenter Andy Durham said Monday night his opinion, he thinks Arteta should lose his job if Arsenal don't win the title. That will probably be a lot of the rhetoric, man. Man said Spain versus UK life, bro. I choose Spain too. Zubra, I forgive you. I hear it, man. Weak transfer shopping. My bet is 2nd, 3rd this season. We need a lot of luck to win the title, man. And the bit, I won't say that, but the itching over a few million for both ways is crazy. Arteta said, don't accept us not winning. We ain't going to win with our current squad and depth. There you have it. If Eddie goes, we're getting a striker. I don't know, man, because I'd imagine so. And I imagine they might even keep Eddie Nketiah, rightly or wrongly, because naturally, Kai Havertz is the number 1. Gabriel Jesus looks quite sharp, but he could get injured. I don't think Eddie's good enough, but they might say, you know what, he's a body there. Maybe if they could sign a kind of player of the Trossard ilk, and what I mean by that is probably Trossard, and there's probably others, but Trossard can perform off the left, perform off the right. I think it's according to the game state, but he can play as a false 9. So maybe they go for a player of that ilk, and just it's like 2 in 1. What's the Xavi Simons deal, by the way? He's been unsettled for years now. Seems like he's gone back to Leipzig, man. DG, have you ever been to Liverpool? What's your opinion on the city, a place you could see yourself living there? I've been to the stadium. I've not been around Liverpool, so I can't comment, man. I'll put it on my bucket list. Leicester want both Eddie and Nelson. They've offered us around 30 million for both. Arsenal have said no. I hope you're right, man. I haven't seen anything in that ilk, but yeah, man. DG, anyone, do you think our core squad build a winning mentality? The growth mentality is there, but to get over the final line. I think they're getting there, but I think they've got it. I actually think they've got it, but I just feel we need a bit more because a lot of these players have won stuff away from the football club. I think the players want it. So I think they've got it, but I just simply think we need more. We need more. You know, I think obviously none of these players are the finished article, but it feels like we've got enough ketchup out of that ketchup, whatever you'd call it, the container. It's time to throw it away and get a new one, if that makes sense. There's only so much water you can put in the ketchup, like if that makes sense. Deluded, we need either Moreno, Fufano, and Gyökeres for 60 million plus add-ons. We need to sell Eddie and Nketiah, Reece, and then we are at least joint favourites with City. Will there ever be joint favourites with Manchester City? I think Manchester City will, until something changes, they'll always be the favourites going into a Premier League season. But if there's any slip-ups, we've shown we can run it down to the last day, man. Who's the first big manager to be sacked? Not a clue, man, but you'd imagine Chelsea have to change something and give a man time, but, you know, Maresca's got to be up there. Arne Slot's going to be up there. Obviously, Ten Hag, I'm sure, signed a new deal and things, but things could go south there. I don't think Spurs will sack Postecoglou, but I hope he has a disastrous season to the point where they have to and their season's writ off. Teams will end up selling best youth instead of giving them chances, so they're in line with FFP. Eddie will leave, to be honest, though. I'm confused on clubs not looking at Kiwior. What forward would you take? I would love Gyökeres. I think Gary O'Neill could lose his job. I like Gary O'Neill. He just signed a new deal, but yeah, man, he could be. Partey's old, Jorginho's weak, Gabby toothless, and Kai's chances down the drain. If you give him 10 chances, he'll finish only 2-3, not league-winning striker like Haaland. To be fair, how many Haalands are there? It'd be amazing to have Ollie Watkins, but we're not going to pay the price tag for him. He signed a new deal recently, and Villa are doing what they're doing. I wouldn't be against Ivan Toney, but is he necessarily the answer? No one in Prem is getting sacked this season. That's a crazy shout. You know what? If you're right, I would say fair play. That's the shout of the live stream, but I think it's naive. It's the nature of the business. Someone's going to get sacked, man. It'll be interesting to see. Obviously, we're starting the league in August. In November, what's going to happen? Big up yourself for the super chat. This window is just so strange for us. We didn't spend anything in the winter window, and yet we're incapable or unwilling to sign players at the rate of Chelsea United, trying to stay positive, though. And I hear it. They're trying to change their situation. And Chelsea, again, if they get it right, they could get it right. But we're in a different kind of phase, really. We need several players, in my opinion, because we haven't got squad depth. But we definitely don't need to do what Man United are doing, and we definitely don't need to do what Chelsea are doing. But it would be nice to be a bit more practical in that regards. I'm with you. I'm with you with that. Should we see exactly what's being said, people? Keep your talking points coming and whatnot. I didn't think many people would be here, but yeah, pick up yourselves, people. Let's keep moving. David Ornstein and James McNicholas have spoken on Mikel Merino, amongst others. Arsenal in talks to sign Mikel Merino from Real Sociedad. Arsenal stepped up their efforts to sign Real Sociedad's 28-year-old Spanish international Mikel Merino. Mikel Arteta has wanted the deal for some time, and the two clubs are now in talks to negotiate a deal. Maybe the gaffer's as frustrated as us, people. Cut the chat. Big up the Irish. Big up yourself, Keith, because you're here. Would you take Sancho? Yes and no. I would take Sancho because I like him as a player. But when you consider the wages, all the baggage, I'm not really for it. You know, Mikel Arteta, based on what he's done with some players, could get a trick out of him. But respectfully, we're not a charity. Like, he's a quality player. We're trying to win stuff. We're not a charity. We can't always do the kumbaya thing and put arms around players. It'd be nice to get some players that weren't, quote unquote, damaged good, man, if I'm honest. DG, you're a very good live streamer. That's why people love talking to you. Couldn't do it without you lot. So, yeah, I just think Sancho, there's too many unanswered. Every signing's a risk, but Sancho signs for Arsenal today. I like you. You fit into the project. You can buy into it. You're obviously a good player, but I don't know what I'm going to get from you for 10 games. You're going to be on big wages. Might as well try something else. Might as well go for he's better than Bakayoko, but you might as well go for someone who's a bit cheaper. They're not really damaged goods to a point. So we'll have to see. We're linked with Kingsley Coleman as well. Another one that comes down to injuries. If you could get him on a decent loan with an option, fair enough, man. I think Kingsley on the left, Saka on the right, or if Saka's not there, to have the many options we have, I'm all for that, man. Imagine if Man City get found guilty and drop to the bottom of the league and Arsenal still don't win the league to Liverpool. Surely we have to get rid of Edu and Arteta. I guess there'd have to be question marks, but personally, one second. Personally, does anyone expect serious charges for City? You've got all the money in the world. You know, 100 million on Grealish. You've done all of what you did. The same way people are going to fight you is the same way they're going to put all the money on the best lawyers. And I have to imagine he probably would fit our system, but would Sancho buy into the pressing? But going back to this, the Premier League, like I'm speaking of the Premier League, like the governing body, the Premier League, the brand that is the Premier League. It would be bad news for them if something happens to City. It might be good news because the league might be more competitive and you might see more frequent Premier League winners, but they probably don't want harsh punishments on City. If anything, it's probably the clubs, the Arsenals, the Man Uniteds, the Chelseas, Spurs. Not that Spurs need to get involved in anything to do with titles. It's probably them that are lobbying this. The Premier League don't want serious sanctions, essentially. And I don't think nothing will happen to them. But keeping up the theme with this, Edu has been in Spain this week as he looks to broker an agreement. Arsenal are confident of a positive resolution, with Moreno keen to join the club and play under Arteta. Personal terms are not thought to be an issue. So personal terms aren't an issue. Arteta's wanted the deal to be done for time. Edu has flown to Spain. It's going in the right direction, and he's got a year left, but fees haven't been agreed. Medicals are not taking place. At this point, it just feels like these journalists are just saying the same thing, but in more creative ways, man. It is what it is in that regard. Kudus been playing on the left in pre-season. Next season, left wing upgrade. I'd love Kudus, but dream chasing, man. Dream chase. Should have got him when he was at Ajax. Sociedad are resigned to the possibility of losing Moreno, who has just 12 months on his current contract. Although they have offered him an extension, the player's reps have made it clear that his intention is to join Arsenal. As was the case with Calafiori, Arsenal are likely to want assurance of a significant departure before they proceed to the final stage of any deal with Moreno. This is where I get a bit annoyed, because where is this significant, keyword significant departure? Would you define Eddie Nketiah as a significant, so man, I can't even speak, significant departure? Is Nelson that? Is Kiwior that? I don't know. You lot tell me. And this, we heard this, they said that with Smith Rowe. Fair enough. But then again, when it mentions Calafiori, there you have it. And Moreno's not gonna break the wage structure. The transfer fee is not that of Kai Havertz or Declan Rice. What are we doing? What are we talking about? Anyways, keep it professional. In Calafiori's case, Arsenal only progressed the signing towards completion once they had reached a broad agreement with Fulham over the sale of Smith Rowe. As things stand, the likeliest player to make way for Moreno is Eddie Nketiah. Although a move to Marseille has fallen through, there's interest from the 25-year-old from elsewhere, including Bournemouth, who are looking for a replacement for Solanke. We know Zubimendi turned down Liverpool at this moment in time in favour of staying at Sociedad. So, pardon me, we're at where we're at. Like, it's just the same old things. Apparently, we've opened talks. Again, everybody is saying the same things, people. And we hope that technically he would be our third signing of the summer. Raya's move has been made permanent. Calafiori's obviously come through the door. And we know, I'm not going to read all of it. We already know. But apparently, Arsenal may yet have to sell before they buy, or may have to sanction a sale once the deal has been completed to finance the swoop following the tightening of Premier League PSR rules. While there is no immediate pressure to raise funds, the club want to ensure they maintain a healthy balance sheet moving forward for the benefit of future trading. Bournemouth remain in talks over the signing of Eddie Nketiah, who is the favourite to depart. So everybody's saying the same things, essentially, people. So where are we at with that? Again, scrolling through this article, apparently, people, Arsenal remain active in both in terms of incomings and outgoings in the final stretch of the summer transfer window. At this point, we all know who's coming and who's left. We all know the interest with Moreno. We've gone over that. Moreno allegedly is waiting very patiently for the move. We all know he doesn't typically fit the profile we've been doing at this moment in time. Big up Ethan and obviously Miles. We hope these young players get some first team football. We've gone over Eddie. 1 minute it's Marseille, then it's Bournemouth. Apparently, Edu has been resolute during club-to-club talks with his valuation of Nketiah, who Arsenal believe is worth upwards of 25 million plus a potential sell-on clause. And the Gunners were always confident Premier League suitors would emerge for the England international in the latter stages of the window when they were lowballed by Marseille. Crystal Palace also like the 25-year-old, but they are yet to follow up interest shown in the early stages of the summer market. Meanwhile, Nelson is valued at close to 20 million. West Ham and Leicester City both held talks, but were not prepared to get close to the figure that were and were waiting to see if Arsenal altered their position. However, both since have moved on to other targets. Arsenal remain open to trading and will also listen to offers for Aaron Ramsdale, who 1 minute Ajax and then it's some Premier League clubs. Ajax have had an initial move locked back. Kiwior and Tierney are obviously subject to speculation. Kiwior not sure. Tierney's injured. Who knows? Partey, again, it's a difficult sell, essentially. Partey remains an active part of Arteta's plans for this campaign, but if a favourable offer is received for the Ghanaian, he could be considered. We all know he's 31 in the last year of his deal, people. No desire to extend this deal. Again, our offer is going to be forthcoming for a man that in 6 months, in January, you could get him for free. I'm not sure, man. DG Jessica had a stream titled "Opening Bid Moreno Rejected." What bid? What am I missing? I'm not sure. I don't know. Big up, Jess. I don't know. I've just gone over David Ornstein's comments. It hasn't said a bid's been rejected there, but I don't know, man. Maybe something else has come out. We all know Aaron Ramsdale didn't feature. We all know Kiwior has interest allegedly from Napoli, AC Milan, and Juventus. Whether this correlates to bids, which we need, issues. When are you next streaming live Football Manager? Dependent, we could sneak that in tomorrow, or we go again properly next week. We all know we've signed Setford. Edu has already turned the screw where outgoings are concerned in recent months, having already moved on Smith Rowe to Fulham in a 34 million deal. I won't count Cedric El Nene, or Arthur Okonkwo. Their contracts running out. They were leaving anyways. Lokonga has gone on loan. Tavares has gone on loan. Carl Hein has gone on loan. Brooke Norton-Cuffy's move to Genoa has been confirmed. Apparently, we're also still in negotiations for compensation fees for Walters, who joined Luton. Koza Dewberry went to Brighton. And Manchester United, where Cheeto, Obi, Snake, Martin is concerned. It's all entertainment. And we're still linked with João Garcia. Allegedly, Arsenal are considering a move for the Espanyol goalkeeper. The Gunners are in the market for a new backup for Raya as they prepare for the possible departure of Aaron Ramsdale. We've gone over the Ajax stuff. Apparently, Arsenal preferred to offload him permanently. The Spanish international is an Olympic winner with Spain. So we'd have 2 summer championship winners that are Spanish in David Raya and Garcia, assuming that happens. His release clause is 21.4 million. If we're acting over however many for Moreno, before we talk about a striker or a winger, we're not finding 21.4 million for this individual. Big up Ben. Apparently Arsenal and Sociedad both do not want to waste time anymore and negotiating at speed to close the Moreno deal. Big that up, man. DG Nation, Moreno is sound, still needs strong cover for Saka. Cancelo would be up for it to get back at Pep. Cancelo knows the system and he's one of the best right back, left back I've seen in the Prem ever. Ooh, one of the best ever. He's up there, but don't think we go for him though. Kudus fits in the Nico Williams profile and Saka backup, also more goals. Zinchenko is a B-Tech Cancelo. I would sign Cancelo now and sell Zinni. There doesn't seem to be a market for Zinni. How are we with squad registration for the Champions League? Do we have more than 25 players to register? I don't think we do. Gilmando will be good, but we're not going for another left back. We just got Calafiori. Don't make no sense. We tried to get Sesko before Eddie was trying to be shifted. So for me, this is excuse making from the club. Same with Calafiori, Zinni, and Kiwior are still here. Honestly, it's you do your head in if you try and make sense of the hypocrisy, man. Hopefully we aren't one short and have to wait until Jan. I think Moreno would be a good signing, but we're still short of a 20-goal-a-season player. If we want to win anything, I don't care how good he is on the ball. We won't win anything with Zinni in this team starting or even being subbed on. Teams target his side straight away. Man are saying Arteta out when he's about to sign a new deal. Pack it in. You man look silly. Kroenke's made the call. Fair enough. Chelsea haven't had their punishment either. But are they going to have that? DG, the Euros and Cup, I think you mean Copa America, really messed the transfer market up. It probably played a part in slowing things down, but it don't seem like other clubs don't have an issue. No, Zinni is not a B-Tech Cancelo. 2 different invert profiles. Not all inverted defenders are the same. True. Facts, DG, are CBA raging. Cancelo and Calafiori are 2 different kind of players. Yeah, but you've got Tomiyasu, Timber, Calafiori on that left-hand side. Zinni, doesn't look like there's a market to move him on. We still haven't got a central midfielder. There is logic in signing a striker and a wide man, and there's a lot to do with outgoings. We're not going for Cancelo, who probably wants to go back to Barcelona. I think that one would be dead in the water, bro. Again, allegedly, Arsenal have been long-term admirers of Zubimendi, but ultimately decided against pursuing a deal for obvious reasons. Instead, they have shifted their focus to a different profile midfield, one of which is Mikel Merino, and he seems to be the best fit. And Mikel Arteta is keen to sign him, but again, we've been over this, haven't we, people? We've been over this. At this point, we know you like him, because why would we be trying to get a deal done? Fabrizo Romano has kind of, said what everybody is saying, and that talks are happening. We're trying to get things done. Moreno wants us, and a contract's allegedly been agreed. We all know Ramsdale to Ajax hasn't come to anything, but apparently Wolves, Nottingham Forest, and Southampton have placed Ramsdale on their wish list. But who is going to place a permanent offer for him? Nottingham Forest, I'm not sure. Southampton, staying in the league has to be their first priority. Are you going to sign Aaron Ramsdale for 35, 40, 50 million and give him those 100 grand wages? He'd probably be one of your top earners. If you go down to the Championship, you're in trouble. Wolves, I guess, with selling Pedro Neto, there might be some finances that they can play around with. I'm not sure, man. Would you take Adringa as the needed wide player? I'm doing a video on him. You know what? I don't think he's a bad option. Bring him. One love for the super chat, my guy. Appreciate you, S. Congratulations with 61.3k subs, filling the Emirates Stadium capacity. I appreciate the work you put in. Like the stream, people. As the man said, like the stream, people. Ramsdale, hurry up and cut, man, so we can get Moreno. It's true, but at the same time, the club could turn around and say, you know what, Ramsdale, no offers, you're staying. We can get away with not signing a keeper. The same logic might be said where Kiwior, Zinchenko, Nelson, Eddie Nketiah is all concerned. But at the same time, the players might not want to move. Obviously, Ramsdale wants to leave, but you're not just going to sign for a club for the sake of it. For argument's sake, if Wolves bidded 40 odd million, we accepted it, and Ramsdale feels, you know what, this ain't the right fit, you're not going to move, are you? More so Reece Nelson and Eddie Nketiah, and actually Ramsdale, the driving force has to be go and get regular football. But if the move don't make sense, they might say, you know what, I'm cool in this position, I'm cool in my lifestyle. Obviously, the manager likes me, but it's all on you, man. if I'm completely honest. I'm sure we're all tired of speaking about Bruno Guimaraes. Multiple Premier League clubs are monitoring the situation of Newcastle midfielder Bruno Guimaraes. Manchester City's interest in the player is strong. However, Arsenal are also there. Heard that before and it's boring. We've heard Arsenal are unwilling to meet the current asking price for Sociedad, which for me, 35 million is a bit steep considering what we've heard already. Chelsea and Arsenal could be set for a long transfer battle for one of Europe's top targets. The transfer saga surrounding Napoli striker Victor Osimhen has taken another twist, with reports from Italy suggesting that Arsenal have made an inquiry about the Nigerian forward. The Gunners have asked to be kept informed about his situation as the transfer window enters its final stages. Chelsea, who have been long-term admirers of Osimhen, are reportedly hesitant to meet Napoli's 100 million valuation or the striker's substantial weekly wages, which are rumoured to exceed 300k per week. So we're not going to do that, are we? If I'm honest with you. Apologies. Merino. Pronunciation, police in a circle. Come on, mate. Despite this, the Blues remain hopeful that as the transfer window progresses, they might be able to secure the necessary finances and strike a deal for the forward who netted 15 Serie A goals last season. For me, you can't rule it out. Forget about Osimhen. He's still linked with PSG, still linked with Chelsea, still linked with Arsenal. Nothing really tangible there beyond that point. Any exit before or after is a strategic choice and not for PSR reason. Arsenal have no PSR issue in the season just gone or in 24-25. Big financial capacity, says this guy. So it raises the question, what actually are we doing? Which, if you don't work for Arsenal and you're not in the know, or you're not Edu or Mikel, you're looking at it and getting shook. Never seen this guy. I keep seeing his name pop up, but apparently Arsenal, one of many European clubs who have sounded out to Palmeiras player Victor Reis, Real Madrid to send scouts soon. Real Madrid in particular, who, won't go away. You know what? I'd like Bakayoko, man. If I'm honest, I wouldn't mind the Brighton lad. We have been linked with Ivan Toney, but I think everybody can forget about that, where Brentford still have a 60 million price tag on his head. Another one who's got a year left. Clearly, Arsenal are not convinced on him. Bournemouth are still interested in Eddie Nketiah. Whether that comes to anything, I don't know, people. Martinelli has spoken on this season upcoming, and he said, the guy himself has said, I think it's good for the team. We're trying to do our best on the pitch to win every game, so it's good to have two players fighting for positions. Arsenal is very happy with that, and I'm also, so we try to give our best to win games. Fair enough. He then said, I think everyone is good and raring to go, and it's going to be big for us. Hopefully we can achieve big things this season. I mean, when you play for Arsenal, you have to win. We know our responsibilities. We want to win everything, so we're going to try this season to win things by God's grace. What would help us is signing people. Should we see what David Raya has said in an interview, people? In relation to the Euros, he said, obviously I was over the moon, but I was upset for them, obviously the England boys, because they work so hard. They are really, really nice guys, and they are my teammates. It's upsetting for them and for the whole country, but for myself, this is something I'll never forget. The game's the game. Big up Raya, man. Scrolling all the way down. He said, I haven't unpacked yet in relation to the Euros. Big up Raya, man. We all know he came to England at 16. I'm not going to waste time, people, with such. He's obviously happy about the Euros. Last season, he said, I think we had a really good campaign, but at some stages, we didn't manage the games where we dropped a few points. Amen. We didn't kill games in the first half. Spurs at the Emirates, Aston Villa at the Emirates come to mind. To be fair, Liverpool in the FA Cup as well. It's that balance of knowing when you have to manage games. Also, you have to go all in, especially at the start of the season, which is interesting because we're at the start of the season. Our second half of last season was nearly perfect, but you have to be perfect to win the league, especially against Man City. They're so good and they're so experienced in this environment. We have to learn from everything, from every mistake, and from the good things that we have done as well to carry on and improve them. That is what we need to do. It's been a fantastic year, but we have to, and I have to make the next one better. Love it. He then spoke on resilience. He said, obviously last year I was only on loan, but I gave everything for the club and I wanted to stay here for as long as possible. I think we all knew it was just an engineered permanent transfer. It weren't a loan, people. When you break up for the summer and you go with the internationals, you focus more on international football at that moment. But I had it in the back of my mind. Am I going to sign? Am I not? It was a relief to sign the contract for the coming years. It's a pleasure to be here. It's fantastic with the way the club is going. The players, the staff, everyone around the club, the fans, it's amazing. You don't know how good it is until you are inside. It's a pleasure to be here and a dream come true to be part of this club. Fair enough, people. And then he then spoke about the set piece coach, not the set piece coach, the goalkeeping coach. He said, I think that's been key of my career. When I came to England for the first time to train with Blackpool with my old club, Conorella, my old goalie, told them you need to take Dave. He's the only one who mentality-wise can cope with it. And he wasn't wrong. I had a lot of lows and a lot of highs, but I think my mentality has been very, very key. Stay strong in tough moments and enjoy the good ones. Fair enough, people. He then said on the goalkeeping coach at Arsenal in Nketiah, he's changed my style of being a goalkeeper. If you watch the highlights from me when I was at Blackburn, you will see a keeper that just stood on the line, not coming for anything. I mean, we can't pay you to stay on your line now. Rarely going for a cross, rarely going outside the box, rarely anticipating, just waiting to make that save. When I signed for Brentford, and Naki just completely changed my style of being a goalkeeper to be more proactive and anticipate stuff that has not yet happened, which Arteta alluded to in your early days at Arsenal. So if you can go for a cross, just go for it. Don't wait for the save. Instead, avoid the charge. For the balls in behind and all that, stay high as much as possible to be able to cut out the attack. If you see me at Blackburn and then after I signed for Brentford, it's two completely different goalkeepers. At Blackburn, I wasn't going for any crosses. And then at Brentford, here, I think my numbers on crosses are remarkable. I must admit, I like the way he speaks, man. A man said you need a tab suspender, Google Chrome DG, using up your RAM with the hoarding up there. I don't know what that is, but I'll look into it, my bro. So, yeah, that's where Raya is concerned. He then obviously said he loves being a goalie, enjoys competition and whatnot. He spoke about California and he rated him. The fact that he's only 22 held his versatility. So that seems to be that, people. We've gone over Martinelli. Anyone that wants Doué, apparently PSG have reached an agreement with Rennes over him. So another one bites the dust. Brooke Norton-Cuffy has joined Serie A side Genoa in a permanent transfer. You'd imagine when they sell him back to England in a couple of years, they'll make substantially more than they initially paid. I would love for us to go for Ivan Ferguson, especially if there's a 50, 60 million euros price tag. Not that I believe Brighton will let him go for that, but who knows. Speaking of the devil, though, people, after this at 9 p.m, I have a video coming out about such. Sky Sports talking about Moreno. With the greatest of respect to Sky Sports, though, what are they going to say that Ornstein, Romano, and all the others haven't said at this moment in time that we haven't gone over, man? It seems like they're the last. Who has a better first touch, Raya or Lukaku? David Raya, 100%. But he's Spanish, though. He's probably got a lot of better first touches. What channel is the Super Cup being shown on? Not a clue, man. Also, daily reminder, screw Sky. Don't ever change your payment day because they will charge you for doing so. That's sheg. The match is on. Martinelli puts his head up and gets 25 GA this season, and all this talk of striker will disappear. I still think we need one, though, but it'd be nice if you got that. I'd love Palmer to come to Arsenal next year or Rodrigo, but I'm hearing Palmer signed 2 years extra on top. You can forget about Cole Palmer, man. Merino is just a market opportunity fact. They might look elsewhere. Shows he's not a key target player, just a bloke with 1 year left. We think we can get on the cheap, or so Arteta thinks. Why can't we identify? Shout out South Africa. Big up yourself, Trist. Kroenke said fix up the poor spending before he cuts off Edu's big funds. I hear that, but you'd also have to label Ed. You can't just blame Edu. You have to throw that to Arteta as well, man. So, yeah, man. I pronounce Havertz wrong. Havertz. Pronunciation, please. Allow me, man. What's wrong with you lot, man? Allow me, man. We're having a great stream. If we get an attacker on top of Merino and sell Nketiah, I'd give the window a 7. I'd have to see, man. I don't know what I'd give the window. Right now, it's a 3. Big up you for getting California. In fact, I'd say it's a 4. Big up you for getting California. You got a couple players out the door, but we're not prepared. We're not ready for next season. We're not stronger than we was last year. Club is ish financially. Years of mismanagement coming home to roost. Years and years to fix it. But hey, are you doing a watch along for Real Madrid? When is that? Today? Oh, no, because I won't be able to get everything sorted in time. It should be imminent, really. I will watch it, though. No way we're spending 80 million or whatever on Ferguson. 100%. Especially at 19. Is there a game on tonight? Real Madrid versus Atalanta, the Super Cup, UEFA Super Cup, the Europa League winners against, apologies again, pardon me, the Champions League winners. So, yeah. And in a couple of years, when there's another tournament, UEFA makeup that's below the Conference League, you'll probably see the Europa and Champions League winners against each other. And this imaginary cup that's going to come in a few years one day, and the Conference League winners. So, it is what it is in that regard. United's Onana has ×2 better touch than Lukaku. Yeah, but he doesn't focus on goalies. Like big Manchester United that had Schmeichel, Van der Sar. You've got a goalkeeper in a penalty shootout doing this and still getting done. Really, it's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. Raya was immense at claiming crosses when we played Spursy at the Lane Boy, and then he obviously, the passing let him down when he tried to find Partey. We got away with that one, didn't we? It could have been a massive L, but we live to fight another day, man. I mean, I guess in short, people, you know, I'll keep my mouth shut until the end of the window. It is a bit concerning. It is underwhelming. It is frustrating, but I'll reserve the right to allow the club to get things done because I don't know what they are or not doing if the window shuts. And for me, as a bare minimum, we don't have another attacking option and we haven't addressed central midfield. I think we all know that you know, we're going to have some good moments in the season, and I hope to be wrong, but ultimately we will probably fall short of what and I'm sure the many Arsenal fans in the chat here would love to accomplish, man. I agree with you, DG. We are not ready for this new season yet with just one transfer. We have other areas we need to strengthen up before we play the Champions League, FA Cup, Carling Cup, and EPL. It's on TNT Sports in the UK. We'll probably end up with Morgan Gibbs White. He's going to cost a lot of money. He's going to cost more than Moreno, so you can forget about that. Yeah, defo free at the moment. I said this and my guy said I'm spoiled, you know. Boy, I don't think you're wrong, man. Are we ever going to see our screen protector Ramsdale in the post? I mean, if you never got to play in the Emirates Cup, God forbid, if there's an injury to David Raya, that's the only way you can see Aaron Ramsdale getting a look in. That Ferguson player for Brighton is overrated. He's so average. He's a young player that hasn't, you know, needs to install a bit more consistency, but I don't think he's overrated. And to be fair, you can be average. Just do the job, really. But we're going to have to see, people, man. It's quite depressing. In fact, depressing is a strong word, man. Let's not use that because people actually going through depression are actually depressed. But it's frustrating. It does feel like we show our club show us a lot to be inspired about and then show us enough to be pessimistic about. But we'll have to see. Tomorrow we can wake up and be here tomorrow doing a live stream. And we've signed a player or two. Of course, I'm dream chasing. Spoiler alert, people, just a little exclusive for you lot here. Unless there's any hiccups, I will have Graham, you know, Graham of AFTV will be doing a live stream on my channel. So there's always content. At 9 p.m, you'll see a video come up of Ivan Ferguson. So yeah, man, rest assured, if there's any emerging news, rumors, views, all of that good stuff, I'll get content out for you lot. Big up you lot for your talking points. Some of you kept me updated with the news, your questions, your general support, and just supporting the movement, man. I can't do it without you lot. Hopefully before the end of the year we can get to 70k, people. But for now, I'm going to leave you lot to enjoy your evening if you're in the United Kingdom, your afternoon, your morning, or whatever. I won't be doing a watch along for the Wolves game, but I will be doing a watch along for Fulham against Man United and probably Chelsea City. And the next week, Villa away, where normal service resumes. We're back to Arsenal watch alongs. But for now, people, I'm going to love and leave you lot. Bless up, stay safe, stay blessed. And I know some people were getting at Zinchenko. What about me at fullback?
Against this right back, Charlie.
Like